Welcome back to DHD Racing Podcast. I'm Daniella and I'm here with Darine and Holly. And today we're going to be talking about something that I have been questioning for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Where do racing drivers go clubbing after Silverstone?
Yep. Serious
Big
motorsport
question.
journalist.
It's such a big question. It's a burning question that I've had for so long. If you don't know, Darine and Holly and we're all from Northamptonshire. So we know the area really well. Yay! But we have no clue where the drivers would go clubbing because there's no good clubs in Northampton.
There's nothing good out here.
No. Milton Keynes is.
I feel like we need to give some context as to why we're
yeah.
Because basically, right, it was a Screaming Meals podcast episode, right? And the conversation came up, where are the best nights out post races? I can't remember what the first one was.
I think it was Monaco.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
But then I'm sure, wasn't it the second one that they said was Silverstone? Which, to all of us as Northampton regulars, if there is one thing that you know about Northampton, it is that there are not good nights out here. We don't have a good clubbing scene. No, bad.
It doesn't happen.
We definitely don't have any kind of like high-end places that I would picture Formula One drivers at. So ever since, the three of us have just been absolutely perplexed at this, and it's genuinely like I feel like consuming a significant part of my brain. Like I need to know now.
And it's not because we want to go there and like bombard them and stuff. We just are like,
I'm just curious.
Be going down our local club. Like you can't.
Yeah.
That's not where you can be going, surely.
I want to know for like just general future reference, so I can maybe have a nice night out in Northampton.
Exactly.
But yeah, so as we say, with the gap in races at the moment, we have to find something to talk about. So this is the
perfect opportunity.
Motorsport journalism. We said that this podcast was going to be a mix from the start, and we've done some. So this is some chat. I don't know
what you're talking about. This is very important stuff.
It's genuinely. Anyway, so theory, where do you guys think they go? Because from my thing, we have a number of options, which is one, they go out in Northampton, which doesn't work because we don't have the right places for them. It's not. Could you imagine them going to NBs? Could you imagine the F1 drivers walking down?
I've never even been there, but I've heard stories.
No. The other option, Milton Keynes? Do they have?
Sorry, my face.
I know people have been, and they have said that like it's not like the best. It's better than Northampton, but it's not the best.
I don't know if I can see it, mainly because the main thing that all of the drivers seem to say about Milton Keynes is that it is the most boring place on the planet next to Maranello. The other option, I think, is London.
I was going to say that, but it's a long journey from Northampton to London.
It is a long journey.
Like an hour and a half.
So yeah, which do you guys think is the most?
I have two more other options it could be.
Okay.
Darine, you might be able to tell me that one of these options is an absolute no. We're not that far away from Coventry.
The Coventry night scene is not that great. Coventry is like a half an hour, 45-minute drive away. So that's a bit more realistic than London.
Yeah.
But the night scene, it's not like at F1 driver standard level, I don't think.
My next one is like Buckinghamshire or Bedfordshire, because they're quite close.
None of these names sound right to me. Because when I think of F1 after parties, I'm thinking of Monaco. I'm thinking of
like glamour and extravagant,
expensive alcohol. The only place that is near Northampton that could give you that is London. So I'm wondering if maybe we're just not thinking big enough in terms of these are millionaires. They could probably like afford a helicopter.
I think we're not thinking rich enough.
We're just thinking in terms of what we would do, and the thought of going from Northampton to London to go clubbing like late in the evening.
I think we're not thinking rich enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think
but also, if we're talking about rich enough, I just don't feel like England is the place to be. I feel like you need to be in Europe.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe they go to France. Maybe we should be thinking bigger. Maybe they get.
Or maybe they do just go to Monaco. Maybe they were saying on Screen Meals that Monaco was the best and Silverstone was the second. Is it because they don't actually do anything in the UK? They just hop on a plane over to Monaco and then have it there.
If I had the money, that's what I would do. I wouldn't.
I would not stay in the UK.
It just doesn't. I just don't think the UK, unless you're talking like old money, doesn't have that kind of glamour. And like we just don't. And all the places that are near Northampton, like Northampton, Bedford, Coventry, Buckinghamshire, like those are not like Monaco, Paris. You know, like those are two different things. I think.
Absolutely.
I can't see it. Even though I know they don't go to Northampton, a part of me wishes
I would
they
like
did,
to imagine.
the idea of them pulling up outside of our terrible, horrible nightclubs, just like in their fancy
And calling it one of the
cars.
best nights ever as well. On top of that, like
all of the 18-year-olds, just like waiting outside in the queue with the mullets and the puff jackets are.
I do have a question for the Screen Meals guys. What makes a good night out to them? Like, why is it a good night out?
Yeah, what defines a good night out?
Yeah, what defines that?
Mm-hmm.
Because Monaco and Silverstone are two very different places in terms of atmosphere, I guess.
Yeah, in terms of everything.
Yeah, in terms of everything. So, what, like, is it that they are equally both good nights out, but they're very different, or are they very similar? Like, what about?
Yeah, what's the criteria here?
Yeah,
these are the big questions. Because some people I know, not me, some people I know say that a good night out is one in which you don't remember much. I disagree with that because I always find that nights out where I don't remember much, I didn't enjoy it all. So it depends. I don't know. I don't feel I can't see it. I can't see the F1 drivers all having a good time anywhere in this part of the UK. We just don't have we don't have the VIP sections, the luxury.
I honestly think the most realistic is London.
I think they must be getting some sort of helicopter and flying over there, unless they have a party at Silverstone, maybe somewhere.
We didn't think of that.
No, but I don't think so, because after the race, don't they have the music and stuff for all of the fans? Or is that just Friday and Saturday?
But is there another section of the racetrack or something that they could like herd everybody with some?
Oh my God, Daniella, what about that pub that you showed me that we drove past when we went to Silverstone?
No, that's just like a family chill pub. Like that is not.
Could you imagine the entirety of the F1 paddock just crowding into like I don't even know what's the typical English pub name, like the something.
I don't remember what it was called.
I can't remember. I used to go there like when I was little, but I can't remember what it's called.
Oh no. I think it genuinely, I'm not going to be able to rest until I know this. I don't think I'm ever going to figure it out.
I think we just have to go to the source.
I'll let you guys know in a few years.
Yeah. We have to go to the source and ask them. And that's Daniella's job. So we'll let you do that.
Yeah. Speaking of Northampton, I feel like Northampton is, aside from its terrible nightlife, which lives up to its reputation, I think. Well, I think we are underrated maybe in terms of our relationship to motorsport. Would you guys agree?
Yeah,
I'd
We've
say.
got so much here.
Yeah, you guys are the ones who experienced all that in person. So I'll hand that over to you guys.
Barely. You should be asking Daniela about this. She's the
Go
one
on,
who took
Daniela.
me everywhere.
Yeah, so we decided that Doreen, you've never been to the track before, the Silverstone track. So I said, come on, let's go. I'll drive you over to Silverstone. But before that, we took a bit of a detour, a pit stop. We went over to a place called Towcester, which has the weirdest spelling. Towcester.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is that Toaster? I don't know. So
English.
we went over there, and if you don't know, because I feel like this is not something that is talked about, and the only reason I knew about this is because my dad told me and took me there so I could have a look. But there are some it's like a housing estate, and the road names are named after F1 drivers, and it is so cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah, like the main road that you first get to is called Senna Drive.
We were driving around,
so
and I was
cool.
saying the only legend left is Hamilton.
No, Schumacher as well. He didn't have one.
Oh yeah, they didn't have Schumacher.
They didn't have
They
Schumacher.
used to have those two. That's ridiculous.
I know.
I know.
And they
Especially
used
when
to have.
Hamilton's literally English. Come on.
They
Like
used
at
to
least
have
at least
Lauda.
Schumacher. I can't believe they didn't have Schumacher.
I have a theory. I think they used to have Lauda because on some people's bins it said Lauda on it, but then there wasn't a street name with the name Lauda. But I think that's because at Brackley the Mercedes now have the road name with Lauda in it. I can't remember. It might be Lauda Close or Lauda Drive, something along those lines. So I don't know if they changed the names, but yeah, it was quite interesting though because you had like you had Graham Hill Road, I think it was called, Coulthard Close, Hawthorne Drive. You had so many that were named after drivers. It was I just go around there a lot and just read all the names.
It's so.
I think the people who live there are so sick of me. They're like, oh no, here comes that girl in that really dreadful looking.
We were saying, I bet they recognise your car now.
They probably do. Silverstone do, because every time I come home, I get in my car and drive straight to Silverstone.
They definitely know your car.
They know my car. I drive past Aston Martin and they're like, oh goodness. Not her.
Oh my god, here she comes again.
We didn't go to Aston Martin, but we did also go to Mercedes HQ.
Yeah.
That's nearby,
and it's
isn't it?
right opposite a Tesco's.
It
Like
is,
Mercedes roundabout, Tesco's.
Tesco, yeah.
And I was
doesn't fit
saying,
my
I
image of
wonder
Mercedes,
if anyone gets a meal deal when they're I wonder if, like, imagine you're going to do your daily shop, or your weekly shop, and you see Lewis Hamilton getting a meal deal for his lunch.
For a meal deal. He has people to do that for him.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I did. But also,
There'll be people in there.
So I can't imagine Lewis having a meal deal.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's not happening.
Mm-mm.
I couldn't see any of. I think
If he
could see
did,
George Russell.
If
Russell
he
would have
did,
a
he would so get a smoothie with it. If he did get a meal deal, he would have a smoothie with it.
That's
I don't know.
I'm not wrong.
Take.
Because he'd be like, oh, I don't need a monster because I have loads of these. My name's all over. I don't need to buy one of those. But he'd get a smoothie.
That's true.
That is very
Yeah.
true.
Oh yeah, he definitely gets something, or like one of those, those like cereal yogurt mixture things.
Oh yeah.
He'd get one of those.
But he's vegan, so he can't have yogurt.
Oh, that's true. But it would have to be,
Yeah.
I feel like you can tell quite a lot about a person from their Tesco meal deal.
Yeah, you can. I know what drink George would get. George would get the monster that specifically says Lewis Hamilton on it. And then go up to Lewis and be like, look, you.
He would do that.
Oh wow.
Oh
I think
God.
it's so cool though, because when I was doing a bit of research for an article I was writing for my university newspaper, Palatinate, just a quick plug. And I was looking at the history of
Oh God,
the F1
guys,
tracks, basically.
my cat is here. He might pop into frame.
Best interruption ever. That's fine, Mango.
So
I don't mind
sorry.
at all.
Here he is.
No, that's okay. Anytime for you, Mango.
Carry on.
But yeah, I was looking at the history of F1.
He's just sitting here now.
Wow. Oh my God. Okay, F1 tracks. So I was looking at the history of F1 tracks, and Silverstone is like, I think, one of the oldest on the calendar. Like, they've been racing there continuously since the 50s, and there are not many other tracks that have. I think Monaco is one that has that much longevity. I don't know how many others, but I don't think there's too many. So I think that it's just like, there's a lot of talk I've seen online and rumors that they might be considering taking it off, which would absolutely break my heart, because I think it's one of the coolest things about Southampton is having that legacy. And it's one of the coolest things about the track, like the way that they all talked about it on Drive to Survive. I think it was season 1, they all talked about it as though like Silverstone's one of the ones you want to win at some point.
Yeah, I've heard
Really,
that a lot.
it's an iconic track.
I can't remember this, like, I don't know if this is completely factual. My brother and my dad went to Silverstone in 2018, but only for the Friday. At that point, my brother was quite into F1. He's not so much anymore. It's now become my thing. I think maybe he just didn't want to have the same interest as me. But the reason that they did it is they went that year was because there was talk of Silverstone no longer going to be on the calendar because of like money and budgeting. I don't really remember what happened and like why I got to stay and things, but there was talk of it being taken away. So my brother really wanted to go just so he could kind of experience it like once, and then it stayed. So I don't really know what happened. I don't even know if that is all true or if my parents just told it. I don't really know. I need to do more research into it, but I do remember that happening. And I don't want like I heard a lot of talk, recently about having a track in London, which that would just mean
I don't like that.
Another streets. And
no, I don't like
personally,
that.
in
We
my
don't need
opinion,
another street circuit.
we don't need another one. They're not the best races just because there's not very many opportunities to overtake. I find quite dangerous, but people can completely disagree with that, and that's absolutely fine. I just think I much prefer tracks like Silverstone where you've got so much room for entertainment and racing and overtaking that there's like endless opportunities for that, but in a street circuit it's not. And I just think it would just change the vibe of the British Grand Prix completely.
Unless they build a track, bye Mango. Unless they build a track somewhere like on the outskirts of London, like how they have all the stadiums in Wembley, and that area is just like stadiums. Unless they build a track, like you said, I don't want it to be a street circuit. I don't think that would be great.
I find street circuits quite boring to watch. Like all the ones I've watched live, Singapore, aside from the crashes in the rain, was boring. Jeddah was quite boring. I mean, and I think it would be such a shame to lose like that kind of legacy of Silverstone. Like, it's obviously not as glamorous as Monaco, but I think when I think of it, I kind of associate it with that kind of old 50s, old racing sort of feel. Is what it makes me think of, just because of that history. And obviously we as a town are quite proud of it and being so close to it. And then the Aston Martin factory is there as well now, and that's quite a nice to have as well. Like,
the only thing going for Northampton, really.
I was gonna say, don't take this away from us. It's the one thing we have.
We used to have two things. We used to be really good at making shoes. Really good at making shoes at Silverstone. Everyone in Northampton, if you grow up in Northampton, you grow up constantly hearing about how we used to be really good at making shoes. We're not anymore. No one makes shoes here anymore. So now we just have Silverstone. It's all
everyone as a child has been to the shoe museum in Northampton.
The shoe museum.
It was like a school trip, I swear.
Well. We don't even have that.
Oh no, my parents just took me there.
We don't have that anymore.
I used to go with my grandparents. I loved it. I miss that museum. But yeah, I think it'd be such a shame to lose that track. It's such a good one. On the
Yeah.
video game, it's one of my favorites to play. It just feels
Yeah.
really nice to drive on it. Like, I think, and the Silverstone Grand Prix last year was the best of the whole year. So I would be devastated if they lost it.
Like you
So
said,
do
it's
I.
so iconic.
It is,
Mhm.
yeah.
It is.
And I'm going to be really selfish, but I don't think they should get rid of it because that's the only Grand Prix I can go to. I don't have to pay for accommodation or travel.
Yeah, that's a good reason, I think.
And also
Even if the tickets are
they've
affordable.
made the Silverstone Interactive Museum as well, and I would highly recommend going. I think we should go.
I think we should have a day there.
Yeah, I went like this time last year, I think, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was really, really good. I learned quite a bit, and I feel like if I went again, I'd retain even more knowledge than I did the first time. And yeah, it's quite cool. I would recommend.
Yeah. No, I'd love to.
I reckon we should plan it.
It's iconic.
Definitely. Right.
But yeah.
Shall we wrap this episode up? I think we've kind of discussed
Yeah.
everything we wanted to for this.
I think we
Yeah.
got very sidetracked.
We did get a bit sidetracked.
It's okay. But yeah,
Okay.
let's
I'd
wrap it
argue
up.
this whole episode could be argued to be a sidetrack from what we normally do, but it's
That's
fine.
true.
Fine.
I guess the theme is sidetracks.
Relax.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I really like the pun that's going on here.
Exactly. That was definitely intentional. I would definitely have that in mind now.
Okay.
All right, let's call it a day.
Thank you for listening to the DHD Racing podcast. We'll hope you tune into our next episode.